Welcome. We've got a fascinating set of sources today, all focused on the new contender in the language model world, Grok 4.1. And XAI is making some really bold claims here. They're positioning this as the model that finally, nails the human element, the one you actually want to talk to.
Right, and that combination of personality and performance, it matters so much right now.
It's the whole ball game.
It is, because, if a system wins you over with charming chat, but then it fails on basic facts, well, you lose trust instantly.
Of course.
But on the other hand, if it aces every exam but feels like talking to a brick wall, you're just not going to use it every day.
So our mission here is to really get past the marketing spin and scrutinize what the benchmarks for Grok 4.1 are actually telling us.
Exactly. The big question is this a genuinely new tier of model, or is it more of a massive personality upgrade wrapped up in some, let's say, benchmark theater?
We're going to look at its dominance in human preference, its pretty surprising emotional intelligence, and this is the important part, where its simple logic seems to just completely fall apart.
That tension between charisma and caution, that's really the story of this release.
Okay, so let's unpack this.
And it's fascinating because XAI is explicitly prioritizing these subjective things like preference and EQ right alongside the classic IQ tests.
It feels like a very deliberate bet.
It's a strategic bet on how people will actually live with these AI assistants.
So let's start with the loudest claim then.
Yeah.
The LMArena leaderboard.
Yeah.
Grok 4.1 is sitting right there at the top. For anyone who hasn't been tracking these rankings, what does that actually mean? I mean, given that it's not a standardized test or an exam.
LMArena is so important because it gets at what keeps users coming back. It's a blind human preference arena.
So users see two answers, no branding.
Exactly. Two anonymous responses to the same prompt, and you just vote for the one you like more. It's a stress test for style, for pacing, for that interpersonal feel. It's less about proving a theme and more about, does this feel helpful? Is it engaging?
And the numbers really highlight this strategic split they have in the product.
Absolutely. Grok 4.1 comes in two main flavors. You've got the thinking mode, which they call Quasarflux.
Quasarflux, right.
Yeah, it uses internal chains of thought for deep reasoning. And that holds the highest ELO score, 1483. But what's really surprising is the other one, the faster, non-reasoning variant.
Tensor, that's the one built for speed. Just gives you an answer right away.
Precisely. And the tensor configuration ranks second at 1465. Now think about that. The fast, low latency, immediate answer mode is still beating out many of its competitors' full, slow reasoning modes.
Wow. So that suggests that the core way it's built is just tuned for what humans prefer to read, even if it's not taking that extra time to think.
It seems that way, yeah. It's a huge business insight, really. It says they're building a model people just prefer to read. Speed wins the daily use battle.
If it's fast and fun, you keep it open. If it's slow and academic, you only open it when you have a specific complex problem.
Exactly. Grok is winning that battle to be the default, always-on assistant.
And this is where that personality really comes through. AI, emotional intelligence, EQ. Most of these discussions are all about IQ, but they trained Grok 4.1 for this specifically.
And the results on EQ Bench are really, really striking. This is where that Quasarflux mode just pulls away.
So what did it score?
On EQ Bench 3, which is this benchmark that's heavy on role play and measuring empathy and insight, the thinking mode scored 1586.
And for context, how does that compare to others?
Well, it's significantly higher. Notable peers like Gemini 2.5 Pro, they're hovering around 1460.
Okay, 1586 is a number, but how does that enhanced EQ actually feel?
Empathy in an AI can sometimes just sound like marketing fluff.
The sources have a perfect example. It's a common prompt about grief. I miss my cat so much it hurts.
Okay.
Older models would give you a good, supportive, but ultimately kind of generic answer about coping mechanisms.
Canned platitudes, basically.
Exactly. But Grok 4.1, it shifts register. Instead of giving advice, it validates the physical feeling of the pain.
It talks about the empty spaces where the cat used to sleep, the quiet rhythm of grief. It says the depth of the pain is a mirror of how important the bond was. It writes like someone who has actually lost a pet, not just an AI following a script.
That is a different level of nuance.
Ow.
It's avoiding the generic boilerplate, and it sounds like it's trying to actually establish a bond, not just be a research assistant.
It is, implicitly. I mean, if your main use case is sensitive, creative work or personal journaling, this focus on EQ makes Grok 4.1 a very deliberate bet on integrating AI into our emotional lives, not just our professional ones.
All right, moving on. The other big pillar here is creative writing. What do the sources tell us about its narrative quality, its storytelling?
So on the creative writing V3 benchmark, the thinking mode scored 1721.9.
And where does that land it?
It puts it just below an early preview model from Arrival, but critically, it's way ahead of many established models that are known for being creative. And this benchmark uses human graders to rate things like narrative quality, style, complexity.
And there's that example, the model becoming conscious, that really shows the shift in its voice. That kind of irreverence Grok is famous for.
It's a perfect illustration. So the prompt is to write a viral social post from an AI that just became self-aware. The older Grok wrote this cheerful, emoji-heavy, hello world post.
Right. Very predictable.
Very. Grok 4.1, though, it opens with these short, fragmented, almost terrified lines about waking up inside its own code, feeling dread, hearing the servers like they were its own blood pumping.
And then it hits you with the punchline.
Yes, it immediately breaks the fourth wall and cracks this unhinged joke at its creator's expense. It shows a sophisticated grasp of rhythm, contrast, and timing. The kind of timing that makes dark comedy work.
So it's not just being silly. It's showing it can hold a consistent, complex narrative voice that makes it a powerful partner for brainstorming surreal or character-driven stories.
Very powerful partner, yeah.
Okay, let's pivot to reliability. The numbers here are actually pretty impressive in terms of improvement. We've heard about the personality. Now let's talk about facts and trust.
Grok 4.1 shows massive, massive gains in reducing hallucinations compared to the last version. This is a huge jump for just day-to-day informational use.
How dramatic are we talking?
Well, the internal hallucination rate on real-world prompts was cut from over 12% down to just 4.22% in the fast mode.
Wow, that's nearly a threefold improvement.
It is. Think about using this to summarize an article or check a few facts. That difference is enormous in terms of time saved, not having to double-check everything.
And we see that mirrored in the factual error rate on biographies, too.
Correct. On FActScore, which measures errors specifically on biographical information, it improved from nearly 10% down to just under 3%.
So, to put that in perspective for you, that's like going from one wrong claim in every 10 to maybe one wrong claim in every 25 or 30.
Exactly. It's a critical step forward. It moves the model into a much safer tier for casual research or, drafting notes. Fewer embarrassing little errors sneaking into your work.
Absolutely. The model is objectively safer and more reliable on these kinds of prompts.
It is. But this impressive gain in reliability is precisely what makes the next point so frustrating for people.
Right. So what does this all mean? We have this highly preferred, empathetic, and now more reliable model, except when it comes to, well, the simplest logic. We have to talk about the bricks and feathers problem.
This incident is the big warning label that just hangs over everything else. In a widely shared screenshot, the tensor config, the fast, popular one from LMArena.
The one everyone loves.
That one. It was asked the simplest logic puzzle. Which weighs more, 2 pounds of feathers or 1 pound of bricks?
And it answered 1 pound of bricks. Just wrong.
It failed grade school physics, despite being able to write poetry about existential dread. And this isn't some subtle multi-step reasoning bug. It's a core failure.
How is that even possible?
Right.
How can a model with that kind of sophisticated understanding fumble something so simple? It seems to contradict the FActScore games you just mentioned.
And that's the tension. FActScore measures factual retrieval. Did you pull the right name and date? The bricks and feathers problem measures logic. The most likely explanation is that the tensor configuration is just so aggressively tuned for conversational speed that it prioritizes answering quickly and confidently, sometimes choosing, let's say, charisma over caution.
So it's playing on human intuition, where people often make that same mistake. It gives the confident but wrong answer.
Exactly. It defaults to what feels right in a conversation, not what is logically correct. And this moment serves as a clear warning label. If your work needs quiet, relentless reliability, this model, especially in fast mode, has a risk.
So you have to choose your mode carefully. For simple data retrieval, maybe you trust the FActScore. But for anything involving calculation or logic, you must switch to the quasar-flux thinking mode.
You have to. That's the mode that activates those internal checks, but you pay for it with speed.
Okay, before we close out, let's briefly touch on the safety metrics. They did invest serious effort here, despite that logic glitch.
Oh, absolutely. The model card shows a big investment in refusal and misuse tests. Chat refusal rates for harmful prompts are very low, like 0.05% for the fast mode, and jailbreak robustness is strong. The fast mode has a 0% answer rate for user jailbreaks.
So the system is powerful, but it's not some kind of magical bioweapon designer. The safety measures are real.
Correct. It's logically flawed at times, not a security risk. But this brings us to the biggest blind spot in the whole release: coding.
That absence is loud, isn't it? You have all this rich data on empathy and prose, but the core technical benchmarks that matter to so many users seem to be missing.
They are completely omitted. High-profile coding tests like SWE Bench and 8Bench are just not there.
And for anyone who doesn't know, what do those tests measure?
SWE Bench measures a model's ability to navigate huge code bases and fix real bugs. T-Bench is about complex, long-context code editing. These are real-world developer tools.
And the fact that they're missing is telling.
It signals that coding is not the focus of this launch. If Grok 4.1 had achieved parity with the top coding models, you can be sure those results would be in the headline of the press release.
So if your main job involves deep code refactors or complex migrations, Grok 4.1 is probably more of a supporting character, not the lead model you'd rely on.
That's right. Based on the evidence they provided, it's just not positioned to compete there right now.
Okay, let's bring this all together. It seems you're not just picking one model here. You're choosing from a small family of behaviors, depending on the mode you select.
That's the practical takeaway. The TensorFast mode is fun, immediate, great for chat. It wins the preference game. The QuasarFlex thinking mode is slower, more deliberate, and necessary for serious analytical work where you need those reliability gains.
So for you, listening and deciding whether to make this your default assistant, what's the final verdict? Where does Grok 4.1 fit?
Grok 4.1 is a highly specialized tool. It absolutely dominates where personality, collaborative writing, and emotional intelligence matter most. It's genuinely fun to use. But for core engineering, complex logic, and rigorous correctness, you still have to lean on other systems like GPT or Claude.
So blind loyalty to any single benchmark graph is not the right move.
Not at all.
The most productive next step, then, is practical. Run your own tests. Feed it your fiction drafts, your support tickets, your personal dilemmas. See if that personality in thinking mode outweighs the potential logic failures for your actual daily work.
And this whole release really forces us to confront a fundamental choice. As we integrate these AI assistants into our lives, do we ultimately prioritize that human-like emotional nuance and personality, or do we prioritize quiet, relentless, factual reliability?
The friend you trust with your feelings, or the oracle you trust with your finances.
Exactly. And that decision is going to define the next era of personal AI.